Good morning, folks. We're starting with one of the ESA's latest images of Mars craters. They've concluded that the biggest impacts get down to an underground water table and creates that runoff. You'll notice the smaller impacts have no apparent liquid carving. Let's begin at the Tropic Watch figure, seeing the Indian Ocean most under the gun for the rest of February. Out to the Pacific, just off the west coast of the Americas, we mentioned that the complementing systems broke down. They're actually still driving a bit north of before, near Vancouver, Washington, and Oregon. Center of the continent sees a convergence line drawing air and Gulf moisture north. That which makes it up the east edge may drop significant precipitation today. We expect upper-level shifts to eliminate a good bit of that serious cold to start the week as well in the east. When you look at Europe, Channel vets recognize this is much lighter than we've seen. It is indeed another low, and isolated severity or complication of existing situations is possible, but it's definitely a much weaker pressure cell. Right now, there is a low just west of New Zealand. The convergence line extending northward hooks back onto Australia there. Let's use Kyle Griffin's maps again here to visualize the cell and extending convergence. The solar wind is calming. The variation occurred during the general drop-off, and the KP index is showing that instability of the wake, or latter fainter shocks, to be waning now. The solar flaring has moments where you think he's going to make a run for it, but the long-term magnetic weakening is of most effect. Only potential for Earth-directed CME in the last 24 hours is this tiny pop you're watching center disk. It would likely be imperceptible in the ambient wind, and the endless spirals are way overblown at the moment, so we'll go to the sunspots. Departing group still possesses some magnetic complexity, while benign classification makes its case in the trailing regions. We'll also begin to focus on the incoming spots, needing another day or two for proper magnetic classification. Polar radiation remains a concern, but far less so as Earth's magnetic connection to the Sun is now nicely north and back of those departing spots. Let's look a bit back and wrap some of these quake watches. Searching back 2.5 months for all 6 magnitude earthquakes reveals 14 such events. Took a month and a half to get 5 of them, while the remaining 9 were all within the last 30 days. You might remember this weekend was supposed to see another little watch with Mercury conjoining the Sun in that northern coronal hole. Well, Saturday was quiet, and Sunday the coronal fields snapped to block our primary factor. But last night, those fields began to reopen. Within 1 hour, we had a seismic disturbance that shook the entire western Pacific. They settled on the New Zealand location. A near 6-pointer hit the Philippines this morning, and another in Colombia. Additionally, we're still seeing some quakes we see less often in the United States. Volcano on watch as well. Shots of our star in the current conditions to close. Eyes open. No fear at 6:35 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.